Well, good afternoon and welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being with us here today. I am Laura De Palma, the marketing manager here at Renew International, and I'm joined by Joe Nuzzi, our president, and Meredith Augustin, our vice president of pastoral services, and she will be leading our webinar today. This is our fourth parish renewal webinar, but today's is going to look a little bit different because we're ending Lent and we're heading into Holy Week. So this is going to be more of a reflection as we prepare our hearts for Holy Week and for this very sacred time in the church. Before we get started, I just want to cover our usual few housekeeping items. The chat box is open and the Q&A box are both open today. So if you want to make any comments, ask any questions, have any technical difficulties, you can always reach all of us in, again, the chat box or the Q&A box. I'll be monitoring both of them. So feel free to reach out at any time with answers to questions, thoughts, comments, anything that you have for us. This session today is also being recorded as usual for anybody who can't make it today, or if any of you want to review it or share it with friends and family at a later date. So it'll be available probably by the end of the weeks for you to view. That is everything I have for you. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Meredith.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you, Joe, for being here. And thanks everybody who's here. If you were with me in February, I did a webinar, Love Thy Neighbor, and I like to use the chat box a lot. So I thought maybe before we delve into this, if you could just let us know where you're watching from or where you're seated and where you're praying with us from. Where are you out there? You're muted, Laura. Can't hear you.
Oh, we have Rachel from St. Simon, Los Altos, and Claire from
Oh.
Los Altos.
My Californians are in the house. Anybody else want to tell us where you're coming from?
I'm signing on from Brooklyn. Oh, and Robert Harrigan is with us in the Big Apple.
Oh, hey, New York.
We have John Peters from Illinois, Kankakee, Illinois. I'm not
Oh,
sure I got
wow.
that name right. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it.
Well, thank you guys for letting us know where you're watching from. Welcome, everybody. I'm
And
grateful. Oh,
Michigan we have.
Michigan,
Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
That's where I live, although I'm in the Renew office today, but welcome, Brooklyn. Thank you. Thanks for letting us know where you're watching from. I'm really grateful that you've taken the time to pause and enter into this sacred space as we prepare our hearts for Holy Week. My idea for doing this is because most of us are in ministry, and a lot of times it's really hard to delve into Holy Week when we have a lot of responsibility. So I thought it would be great to sort of take a little bit of retreat time to just pray together as ministers, and get ourselves prepared for next week. So whether you're joining us from home or work or a quiet corner, I think it's important to always remember that God meets us always where we are. So today's reflection, A New Heart for Holy Week, is an invitation to journey inward, to release what holds us back, and to walk more freely and deeply with Christ into this holy season. Through scripture and prayer and some quiet reflection, we'll explore mercy and discipleship and transformation, allowing God to shape our hearts for the Paschal mystery ahead. So I invite you now to quiet your surroundings as much as you can, to take a deep breath, and to join me as we begin in prayer. God of new beginnings, as we enter this day of reflection, hour of reflection, prepare our hearts for the journey ahead. As you did with the woman caught in sin, you offer us mercy, not condemnation. As you called your disciples to follow you to Jerusalem, you invite us deeper into the mystery of your passion. Help us to listen, reflect, and enter Holy Week with open hearts. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. John. Jesus returned to the Mount of Olives, But early the next morning, he was back again at the temple. A crowd soon gathered, and he sat down and taught them. As he was speaking, the teachers of religious law and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in the act of adultery. They put her in front of the crowd. Teacher, they said to Jesus, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. The law of Moses says to stone her. What do you say? They were trying to trap him into saying something they could use against him. But Jesus stooped down and wrote in the dust with his finger. They kept demanding an answer, so he stood up again and said, all right, but let the one who has never sinned throw the first stone. Then he stooped down again and wrote in the dust. When the accusers heard this, they slipped away one by one, beginning with the oldest, until only Jesus was left in the middle of the crowd with the woman. Then Jesus stood up again and said to the woman, where are your accusers? Didn't even one of them condemn you? No, Lord, she said. And Jesus said, neither do I. Go and sin no more. I invite you now to take a moment of silence and close your eyes. Picture that scene. Jesus bending down, writing in the dust as the woman stands in shame before her accusers. Imagine yourself in that moment. Where are you in the scene? Are you the one holding a stone? The one in the crowd? The woman? As you stand there with Jesus, hearing his words of mercy, neither do I condemn you. Notice how the weight of shame, fear, or judgment begin to lift. Slowly, Jesus turns and begins to walk away, not leaving you behind, but inviting you to follow. You notice the road he is walking is dusty, leading out of the familiar and toward the unknown, towards Jerusalem. You take a step forward to follow him. As you walk, notice, what are you carrying with you? Is it a burden of guilt, a fear of change, a longing for freedom? Allow yourself to walk alongside him, step by step, knowing he is guiding you to the heart of Holy Week. Ahead is the city, the gates of Jerusalem, the place of palms and praises, but also of cross and surrender. What does Jesus say to you as you journey together on this road? As you continue walking with Jesus, feel the quiet strength of his presence beside you. When you're ready, slowly bring your attention back to this space, to your breath, and to the stillness around you. Open your eyes, carrying with you the invitation to walk with Christ into the heart of Holy Week. As we return to this moment, we recognize that before we can walk freely with Jesus toward Jerusalem, we must first release what weighs us down. The stones that we carry, judgment, fear, shame, can keep us from fully embracing this sacred journey. Let us now reflect on what it means to let go of those stones and step more lightly and fully into the path ahead. In the gospel that we just entered into, there's a moment when everything stops. The woman stands surrounded by her accusers, stones in hand, waiting to pass judgment. Jesus bends down, writes in the dust, and everything shifts. Let's bring that image into our own hearts today. You see, we all carry stones. They may not be literal, but they're there, heavy, sharp, and weighing us down. Stones of judgment, maybe of others, maybe of ourselves. Stones of resentment, fear, shame, or regret. Sometimes we hold them tightly without even realizing it. So I thought it would be good for all of us to name them today. What stones am I holding? Is it a grudge that I've held too long? Is it a critical voice in my mind that I turn on others? Or maybe it's shame from something long past, something that I still haven't forgiven myself for. Maybe it's fear. The stone says that I'm not enough or that I need to be perfect before God will really love me. The scribes and the Pharisees held stones to condemn the woman, but Jesus, who alone was without sin, chose not to pick up a stone. Instead, Jesus bent down and wrote in dust, something impermanent that can easily be wiped away. Could it be that Jesus is reminding us that sin, failure, judgment, that they don't have to be etched in stone? They can be forgiven, released, and washed away. Jesus simply says, "Let the one among you who is without sin cast the first stone." And one by one, they walk away. So today is an invitation for us to walk away from the stones that we carry and towards God's mercy, towards a love that says, "Neither do I condemn you," toward the freedom of laying the stones down, choosing compassion for others and for ourselves. In a moment, I'm going to invite you to quietly hold an actual stone if you have one nearby. If you don't have one nearby, just simply picture it in your hand. Name it silently. What is this stone for you today? Or it might be stones, but name it. And when you're ready, imagine or physically place it down and surrender it to God. Jesus is always here, still writing in the dust, always saying, "Go and sin no more." Mercy is not an ending, but a beginning. So let's take a quiet moment now to surrender whatever it is that we feel like we need to release and prepare our hearts for the road ahead. So I ask you if you're ready to share, if you feel like sharing. We're all family here. What stones are you ready to release as Holy Week approaches? I'll start. Um, One of my jobs, other than working here as the vice president at Renew, I'm the director of music at the Church of St. Francis of Assisi in Manhattan, where I've been for 18 years. And this year, I would like to lay down the stone of control, um, realizing that I don't have control over whether the ministers go where they're supposed to go, or the cantors sing the right notes, or the choir is on the right page. Throughout those 3 days, 4 days, including Easter, I have to give up control. So that's the stone that I want to release as Holy Week approaches. Nancy, I see that you raised your hand. Do you want to type in the chat um, what you want to release?
I would like to lay down the stone of busyness, Rachel wrote, meaning taking the time to be present with our parishioners, our visitors, our ministers. Oh, and thank you for the recording so that we can share this with our staff later, as most are working in meetings or prepping for Palm Sunday and Holy Week. So they'd like to use this in their parish as a reflection for their ministers. I think that's a beautiful idea. Nancy said she can't release her stone of shame.
Mm.
Letting go of judgment, the stone of judgment.
Thank you for sharing, those of you who shared. And I just ask that everybody keeps each other in prayer. Thank you for your vulnerability about what's hard, and um, I really appreciate that.
You got one more, the stone of guilt. I'd like to lay down the stone of guilt.
So when you picture yourself laying these stones down, hopefully you find your hands and your spirits lighter. You know, mercy touches us, and the invitation is clear that Jesus calls us forward. In light of this presentation, the road to Jerusalem awaits. It's not just a place on the map, but it's a journey of surrender and discipleship. So let's walk deeper into this journey, exploring what it means to follow him, even when the road becomes steep. In the gospel story, the woman was not just freed from condemnation, but she was sent forth. She had a brand new path ahead of her. And so are we. Jesus invites us to walk with him, to follow him to Jerusalem. The road to Jerusalem is a road of commitment. On Palm Sunday, crowds cheer, waving palms, and they shout, Hosanna. But by Friday, those same voices cry out, crucify him. Following Christ is easy when the crowds are singing, but will we follow him when the road gets steep and rough? When discipleship calls us to be uncomfortable, oftentimes vulnerable, or even afraid? Think about your life today. What are you being asked to walk with Jesus, even when it's difficult? Where are you being asked to walk with Jesus when it's difficult? We carry so many crosses. It's such a hard time, especially right now with just the polarization in the church, the polarization in politics. Maybe you're carrying grief or uncertainty about a situation where faith is challenging. Or maybe Christ is inviting you to take a risk, to step forward in your faith in ways that might stretch or even unsettle you. The road to Jerusalem is also a road of surrender. Jesus teaches us, unless a grain of wheat shall fall to the earth and dies, it remains just a single grain. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. Jesus willingly walks toward the cross, trusting the Father's will, trusting that suffering is going to lead to new life. And he invites us to do the same. What is Jesus asking you to surrender as you walk this road with him? Is it control? For me? Is it a fear of the unknown? The urge to hold back? Finally, the road to Jerusalem is a road of hope. Yes, it leads to the cross, but beyond the cross, we all know there's resurrection. Beyond loss, there's new life. And this is Paschal mystery: death, resurrection, surrender, and transformation. Take a quiet moment again. It's a lot of quiet in this hour, and picture yourself walking beside Jesus on this road, the road of commitment, the road of surrender, the road of hope. What does Jesus say to you? What does he ask you to trust him with as you prepare for Holy Week? Again, when you're ready, please share with us what Jesus is inviting you to surrender as you journey with him this Holy Week.
I personally think Jesus would like me to surrender being anxious, always worrying about the outcome, even when it's out of your control. Worry. Sister Janet shared worry.
I'd like to put our president, Joe, on the spot, because for 18 years, Joe has been very active in ministry and responsible for the RCIA these 3 days. And this year, he is not in that position. So I welcome him to speak a little bit about maybe how he feels about this question.
Nice, putting me on the spot. It's been on my mind quite a bit, and it's been 18 years with you, and then another 8 years before that, someplace else. I have to let go of what I've done for 25 years and surrender to experiencing Holy Week without being in that role. And on one hand, it's liberating that I don't have those anxieties, but it's also a loss of identity for me
Mm,
in terms of being their catechist for, especially for people coming to the baptismal font. Um, and and it just feels strange, and it's an unknown to just be in the pew. And maybe I have issues of control also, which I confess to everybody here, my brothers and sisters. Um, yeah, so it's new, and I have to surrender to the new and the different.
Thanks, Joe. Sorry to put you on the spot.
That's okay.
We got a few other responses as well. A desire to surrender into the arms of love, the love of family, of friends, of community, and bringing non-believers in to experience Easter.
Mm, beautiful. Anybody else want to add?
Surrender to change.
I would agree with the change. I have a new pastor also. So Holy Week looks a little different. And my job is to just make music, make people love Jesus more when they leave than when they came in through music.
Another participant said he feels Jesus asking him to surrender to the family life ministry.
Ah, as we walk along Christ, we begin to realize that this journey is one of transformation. I think um, just in the comments that we've gotten, we can kind of feel the those things firing about transformation. I think it's not just about walking behind or beside Jesus, but being changed by the steps that we take. As we approach the threshold of Holy Week, we're invited to open ourselves up to something deeper, a new heart, ready for the journey, and ready for that mystery of the cross and resurrection. So let's take some moments to reflect on how Holy Week can be more than a ritual for us this year, but a moment of renewal. So this is reflection 3. As we journey alongside Christ, we're not spectators. Sometimes I think we kind of fall into that role of spectators, but we're actually participants in the great mystery of love that is poured out. This is where we're invited to receive a new heart, if you will, a heart that's willing to be um, broken open, especially with the story of the Passion, a heart that's transformed by mercy and calls us to pour mercy and love out for others. St. Paul writes, he emptied himself, taking the form of a servant, becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. Jesus doesn't withhold anything. His love is total, vulnerable, self-giving. And I think that's the heart that he offers to us, and also the heart that he invites us to mirror. Holy Week is not just a series of liturgies, it's the invitation to walk the path of Christ with our whole selves. So, after thinking about that and the whole idea of that, how would we enter into Holy Week differently by thinking of it in that? What parts of our heart need renewal, softening, or healing? We talked about that with stones. Do we need to forgive someone? Do we need to trust God more deeply with a situation that feels out of our control? Do we need to let go of bitterness or fear? God promises us through the prophet Ezekiel, I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. So I invite you now to just take your hand and place it over your heart. And silently ask God for that new heart, a heart that's ready to walk into Holy Week, fully open to the mystery of Christ's love. I'm going to give you a few moments of silence to do that. It's my prayer that we go forth with a heart that is lightened by mercy and strengthened by discipleship and wide open for the transformation that Christ desires for all of us this Holy Week. I know we've shared a lot of the stones that we want to let go of and the things that we'd like to lay down. But after taking into, and some of this might be repetitive, but the whole idea of walking into Holy Week and kind of releasing these things that we hold on to, how do you want to enter into Holy Week differently? Like, what does that look like? I know the reflections are a little bit similar, but as I've gone through this presentation, I just feel like letting go of some of those stones, like the stones of control, the stones of fear, of shame, of guilt, of kind of that self-reflection, but then the practicalness of, what does this look like for me? And how do I want, as a minister, how do I want to walk into it differently this year? Some people said, I want to not worry about it. So I would invite you into the chat. Again, it's a little bit repetitive. How do you want to enter into Holy Week different this year? But also, what helps you? What helps you, if you could share with others, what helps you kind of stay focused? What helps you remember, other than getting into a series of liturgies, what helps you remember really what we're here for those 3 days?
Can I share one?
Yeah.
While other people are thinking, and we cheated because I shared this at lunch.
Mhm.
And I really meant it. I did this. I made a decision as the director of the RCIA. I would always really basically freak out when people were late to the liturgies of the Triduum. Candidates elect, their sponsors. And at a certain point in my ministry, I decided to let go of that, and to focus on the people who were there on time and to enter into the prayer with them and not worry about the people who were late. Sometimes they had good reason for being late, but it used to affect my prayer. And instead of focusing on that, I made the intentional decision to focus on why we were there and what the vast majority of people were doing, which was getting into the prayer. And that helped me pray better as a minister, as somebody who had a role in that.
Thank you. Yeah, I enjoyed that conversation earlier.
Daisy shared that she would like to enter Holy Week with peace. Claire said she'd like to embrace ourselves with love and forgiveness and invite others to join me in her heart. And also that the Blessed Mother's agony as she watched Jesus suffer is something that always highlights it. And it's actually something, I teach fourth grade religion, and one of the students said, we did the Stations of the Cross with them yesterday, and they said, why would she watch? Why would she go watch her son die? Because they couldn't understand, a mother's love transcends what's best for herself. She didn't want to witness it. But to be there for her son is a whole different story. But that suffering, from a parent's point of view, is something totally different. Rachel said she thinks it may help is if, as a staff, we remind each other not to overthink what they're doing and to just be present with each other, with their community, to let go and let God. And a focus on help to see and realize how the Paschal mystery is being lived in today's world, how the death and resurrection are lived every day in today's world.
That's beautiful. Thank you. That was all one person or different people?
Oh no, that was from Claire, Daisy, and Rachel and Sister Janet. We had a lot of input to get there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kay Dodd said, I always used to go to a beautiful seven last words ecumenical service on Good Friday. But in another town, they walk from church to church, following someone who carries a life-size cross with a different service of 20 minutes at each of the churches. And this mini pilgrimage really helped to change their view, change their routine, and to bring new conversion because it was something so out of the box.
It's beautiful. I think for me, for those who know me well, know I always have this one little saying that I always say, that there are miracles around every corner. So I'm going to hold on to that. There are miracles around every corner. As somebody who, where I'm positioned, where I play the piano and sing from, I have a vision of all of the people who come forward for communion, of all of the people who come forward to venerate the cross. And it's a very humbling experience for me to pray for each of those people who come forward with, so much. We walk around with so much, and it's just humbling to see the faith of people as they come forward. And for some people, it's just once a year that people come to those various services. It's the one time of year, especially Good Friday, where the cross is really the focal point, that we come forward and we venerate that, and we hand our burdens over. But I think we sometimes forget that the cross is always there for us to lay down our burdens. But where we began here today is just the beginning. So I hope that the mercy that you've received today influences how you might forgive others this week. And the discipleship that we've embraced strengthens all of us when the journey feels heavy. And the new heart, quote unquote, new heart, draws us all closer to the mystery of Christ's love that's poured out for us so generously. Trust that God is walking beside us every step of Holy Week. And as we close, I just invite you now, if you have paper near you, just to write down one intention that you want to carry forward silently in your heart. If you don't have paper, just think about what that might be. And let's gather all those intentions. The ones that you named, maybe the ones that you wrote down, the desires that you hold deep in your heart, and let's just place them gently into God's hands and offer them in prayer as we prepare to walk into this Holy Week renewed and ready. So I invite us all to close our eyes and pray. And the prayer is on the screen, so we can all pray it together from where we are, either quietly or aloud. God of mercy and love, you have invited us into this sacred space and spoken to the depths of our hearts. As we move from reflection to action, help us to carry forward the mercy we have received, the courage to follow you, and the openness to be transformed. Give us a new heart, one ready to forgive, to serve, and to love as you love. As we walk with Christ through the mysteries of Holy Week, may we remain present, faithful, and trusting, knowing that resurrection always follows the cross. And we ask this through Jesus, our Redeemer and companion on the journey. Amen. So as we close, just I'm not keeping you for a whole hour because I know everybody has things to do. It's busy, but I just really wanted to let you know that you're not walking this Holy Week alone, that we're all together, that we started here and we carry the mercy and the discipleship and the transformation into these sacred days. So thank you for sharing this time with me and with one another. Thank you for all of the things that you brought forward. Sharing and your vulnerability is really special. So may the peace of Christ accompany you as you walk towards the cross and the promise of resurrection. I think Laura probably has some things to follow up with, but I'm really grateful that you are here. And if anybody wants my PowerPoint, you could just email me and I'll send it to you. But I know that this will be up in a couple of days for other people to enjoy.
Yes, thank you so much, Meredith, for leading us in that beautiful reflection. I am going to try and have this recording sent out to everybody tomorrow so that you have it before Holy Week if you'd like to use it in your parishes. And I thank you all for joining us this afternoon, for taking the time out of your busy schedules to prepare for Holy Week and prepare for Easter. And I wish you all a very blessed Holy Week, a joyful Easter to come. And I hope that you will join us on May 8th, Thursday, May 8th, for our next upcoming webinar, and that will be led by Joseph Nuzzi. That's our next parish renewal webinar. We're also hosting an Earth Day webinar on April 22nd, right after Easter, if anyone would like to join us on Earth Day for a reflection on Laudato Si, on our responsibility to creation. So we hope that you join us then. But until then, please have a very blessed Holy Week and a joyful Easter, celebrated with love and with your family and friends. Yes, Rachel, I will send you the Earth Day webinar info. Absolutely.
And it's on the website, right?
It is on the website. It is. You know what? I can include it in the follow-up email as well, in case anyone would like to register for that. I'll include a link to register for the Earth Day webinar if you're interested.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy
Thank
Easter.
you, Meredith.
Thank you so much.